they've named this many things.
Polar vortex, whatever. Blizzard.
They're calling it like a downward blast.
Okay.
Or some Siberian plunge or something. I don't know. But we have power.
Yep.
Our water froze a little bit, but that just came back.
Yeah, we were out of power for about 20 hours or so. Oh.
Oops. So are we getting echo?
It's fine. So we are going to be talking about the grid.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the way that this green energy agenda, propaganda agenda, continues to weaken and deteriorate the grid. And so when we have these anomalous events, and we can discuss how, well, we don't need to discuss how geoengineering and different things affect this kind of stuff, because all this stuff is not natural. To say the least. It doesn't mean that every weather event is man-made at the same time, which is, it's a little bat over the top. Everybody wants to always assume that everything is manufactured. We don't really know. I'm not, I don't want to poo-poo it, but at the same time, obviously what we're experiencing, while they tell us that the Earth is apparently, or was apparently warming, we continue to experience colder and colder weather.
No way.
Now, when you're looking at it from a grand solar minimum, and you realize that it is getting cooler, and we're in a colder cycle, so therefore things will get colder. That doesn't still account for these gigantic swings. We've been having, massive swings.
Oh my word! Yeah.
Where it'll go from 70 degrees to we load out, I think, at 6, and so it went from within 2 days from 70 degrees to 6 degrees, which really kind of messes things up. And, and down here, people just aren't prepared for it because it rarely happens. But now, in the last 8 years, it has been happening every single year on very, very inconsistent times and places and all the different things. But the biggest beef and the biggest issue I have is what creates all this. Obviously the infrastructure is older, which is fine. I mean, that's going to happen, and as it gets damaged, they cycle it out, and it does get upgraded slowly. The biggest problem is with the power supply and what's putting all the pressure. See, they're acting like us human beings are using more and more and more power, and we're putting the pressure. What's putting the pressure on the power generation infrastructure is they're relying more on solar and wind that produces less.
And they keep closing down really efficient plants that run on like coal and natural gas and things like that.
Yeah. And so that puts more pressure because... And then there's like no planning that goes into place when this was forecasted for like such an extended period of time. So right here, I'm going to share this.
Yeah, pull up an article. Here you go. All you have to do is
just flip the switch. I'm getting used to the technology here. So
that one. There you go. You can
we're part of the Southern Power Pool,
which you would think, okay, it's Southern Power Pool, so it should be for all southern states, or kinda for a couple southern states, but
yeah, it's very interesting how the Southern Power Pool, and it just grabs us here in northeast Texas. It kind of just drops into Texas, spins around northeast Texas, and then like evaporates over. But the SPP has extended the anticipated end time for the current conservative operation advisory in effect for the entire SPP balancing authority footprint in the eastern interconnection. So they're just telling you there's not really a whole lot to read there other than a bunch of just gobbledygooks and words and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you can pull up that other one too, the United States power outage map too.
Yeah, and then
also
share.
We can show y'all the map here.
And they're aggressively bringing this back because there were
a million people out of power.
Yeah, there were about were a million. There was like 300,000 in North Carolina. They've gotten that down to 170,000. And
So since we made the thumbnail, I mean, they've been getting the power back on big time.
yeah, which is pretty impressive. It's amazing how sensitive the grid has become when we have this real hard and heavy blast and everybody's power goes out. And my contention is that this is, one, by design, but two, this is by all this excess pressure being put on the grid through all this green agenda and this push to have a bunch of solar panels and a bunch of wind turbines. And then when you go to your wind turbine farm, 1 out of every 3 wind turbines is either not moving, it's either burn up, it doesn't even have propellers on it. If you've ever been to, we've been to the big wind farm down on the down there by South Padre and all that stuff. You drive right through it, and 1 out of every 3 turbines is either
on fire. No.
Yeah.
We
saw one smoking. The last time we were down, we saw one smoking. We saw one that was scorched.
I saw at least 10 of them that were scorched. I mean, it looked like they just caught on fire within a couple days, and they're all black.
Yeah.
And then I can't tell you how many trucks we passed by with all the components on it, and the ones that were all burned up that they were hauling away, and all the new ones that were coming in, and each blade is like 80 to 100 feet long. Well, yeah, probably at least that. And man, it's nuts.
And then we had this Snowmageddon weather event last year, and they blamed everybody. Well, they didn't weather harden the green energy, so then supposedly the reason that created all these issues is they didn't properly winterize these windmills and different things. But the real reality is we continue to produce less and less power.
Yeah.
That's what's putting the ultimate pressure, and the reason they can't redirect power is because it's not there. And a lot of times they can redirect power, they can energize lines and power up lines to keep the ice off. There's lots of different things. They've been doing this for a long time now, y'all. And any type of major weather event, it just knocks all this power out, and it's like absolutely like chaos. And with all the technology, and as we get bigger, stronger, faster, and smarter, the power grid gets worse and worse and worse, and it's because of all this green. It's because of the green agenda.
Yeah, it's very true.
So what? And so that's what I actually, on our local co-op, they were very diligent in posting updates and different things, and on Instagram and different things. And I said, when's something going to be done about like just this green agenda? They want us to live in the Stone Age. What they want is they want to push us back to the Stone Age, but they want to take away our fire. They want to inhibit us and prohibit us from burning wood so that we can actually stay warm.
Of course.
And this way, when the power goes out, we freeze to death.
Yep.
Nobody can. Fireplaces and wood stoves are illegal, and now be ready when the power goes out. Don't freeze to death, but don't burn any wood, and don't plan ahead, and don't chop any wood, and don't stack any wood.
Yep. Because even though we lost power for 20 hours and it got down to literally -5 here for a night or so, we were still plenty warm.
And if we didn't have a fireplace and a wood stove, if we only had our fireplace, we would have probably still been hurting pretty good. Yeah. And all of our pipes would have froze and busted and everything else.
Yeah.
And
and that's the other thing too that I wanted to talk about. I think every state should take it upon themselves to be able to generate their own power and not rely on other states to buy power from them. I think that's just so silly, like what was that city that I was watching the documentary with you about? Was that Los Angeles or San Francisco, or which one was that?
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, that's what it was. I always get all my big Babylons mixed up. But yeah, and it's just they rely like perpetually.
Yeah, and I mean,
on that.
there's a lot of smaller states, so I understand
Yeah.
why different states would go together and different, I don't necessarily think that states have to all develop their own energy. I mean, they could if they wanted to. Obviously, there would be a lot more of nuclear power would be involved in that if that
Yeah.
were the case, which may or may not be that bad of a thing. But the reality is the coal and the natural gas. First off, natural gas power is incredibly clean. Clean coal technology is very clean as well. The filtration systems and everything that they have. I mean, they can, if they want, they can have very clean coal. Now I realize, the whole harvesting process and everything.
Of course.
Is a little bit of a different story, with mining the coal and different things, but we can use the existing technology that we have and make it incredibly efficient. We've seen it in automobiles, and to continue to insist on these quote unquote renewable green options that will never produce as much power as it costs to actually fabricate and manufacture. It's an end-sum game. And how can intelligent scientists and scientism, how can they continue to try to fake us out by thinking that, well, if we make enough, if it cost you 100, let's see, if you're making a 400 watt solar panel and it takes 500 watts of power to fabricate that solar panel plus all the material and everything, and this is just, I realize that over the course of, I'm using round numbers because we know that panel is going to continue to produce, but that panel will never, in its entirety, in a lifespan, whether it's 25, 30 years, it will never produce as much power as it costs to manufacture. So that is it. That is an end sum game. It's diminishing returns. It can never work. So until the technology changes dramatically and improves dramatically, the whole word renewable and green energy, it is absolutely not renewable. It's completely not renewable. If it takes more power to manufacture than it'll ever produce, it can't be renewable. So it's just as dirty a technology as anything that would be petroleum based. It's just as dirty because but I mean, the thing about petroleum is that petroleum, we continue to pump it out of the ground. It continues to exist. They originally started this renewable energy thing under the premise that we were running out of oil.
Yeah.
So the initial push, even though if you read the Club of Rome from 1970 and all the stuff that they say, basically what we're going to do is we're going to tell everybody that humans are the problems and
we are the CO2.
We're the CO2. Humans are the problems, and then we'll have all the technocrats and King Charles and all these guys, and they'll tell us all that humans are the problem, right? But initially they're saying, peak oil, $500 a barrel, we're running out, and eventually we need to develop technology to produce stuff, because when we run out of oil, how are we going to manufacture and produce stuff, and how is everybody going to function? That's how the talking points started. And now, when that never happened, it's just like global warming. Global warming, when the main numbers started to shift and things started to get colder, they said, oh, wait a minute, we can't keep calling this global warming because stuff's getting colder. Now we got to call it climate change, and then they switched for a little bit and they called it climate weirding.
Well, and it's awesome because climate change, now they can just blame random stuff on climate change because it's just climate change. And it's like, oh, grandma died because of climate change, okay? No other reason why she died. She just died of climate change. So. Well,
that's a whole new phenomenon. That's I'm coming out with a new T-shirt.
Oh man.
And it says, what was it? I am the control group.
Yeah.
and that's going to be a new T-shirt. You'll see it coming out. It's a little that's somewhat topical that we can't talk about on YouTube.
Yeah, it's true. That's the C word, and then 1984.
Oops, I'm sorry. I wanted to
block the troll.
Block the troll. But I don't know what are y'all experiencing in your area with the power outage and power usage.
Yeah.
And it's exactly like I wanted to do, and we might do a video. We've done a couple videos on the border, and Tucker Carlson came out, and he called Greg Abbott out. And I'm not a Tucker, I'm definitely not a Fox News guy. No. I can appreciate some of the stuff that Tucker talks about.
Of course.
And he called out Greg Abbott on the whole border thing. And,
that was pretty cool.
So we might actually talk about that and do a video. Maybe what we'll do is we're going to be going live tonight.
Yes.
Probably at
7.
7.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll play that clip.
That was crazy, y'all.
Well, it's real crazy.
Kind of called him on his bluff a little bit.
Yeah. And what's kind of real crazy is Tucker just came out and said that the CIA killed JFK, and a lot of people acted like it. That was a relatively, with all the tinfoil hat stuff, and everybody always wants to accuse you of being a conspiratorial theorist and all this stuff. It's very fascinating that he could go on there and say it, and there was no reaction other than I forget. Redacted just did a story. They just named Tucker Carlson. I forget which lame stream deal. They just named him as the disinfo agent of 2022 or something. Old Tuck on Fox News, which is kind of funny because they have to stay in their own little paradigms, So lame stream has to call out somebody that's on Fox News, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
We are propane off. Oh, we're going to be talking about the Politico article too from Trump. I thought that was
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I sent that to a couple pastors.
So we're going to be talking about a couple things tonight. 7:30. Join us. Get some popcorn. Get some coffee, tea, whatever it be. Also, we tried to get out as many orders as possible for y'all before Christmas and things like that. Even though we said if you want stuff to arrive on Christmas or New Year's or whatever, go ahead and order it before by the end of February, I think. And then there were some people that ordered last week, and they were like, "Is it gonna come Christmas?"
By the end of February?
No. Dear me.
In November.
Sorry, homeschooler brain here. November, right?
Yes.
Yeah, November. Yeah, the end of November. Sorry, I got all my months read together. But anyway, yeah. So we tried our hardest to get them all out as fast as possible, but we still have a couple more food for us in the box to send out to y'all. So trees are warming up a little bit again. But yeah, everything survived pretty stinking well. Actually, I wanted to say this real quick because we got 240 people on here and probably a couple homesteaders out of them. I don't know why we haven't done this sooner, but we didn't even buy them for this purpose, but we bought some coil water heaters or whatever for the hot tub, but they're really made for keeping water tubs or whatever warm, right? Well, it's getting down to 10, below freezing and things like that, and with the wind chill being -5, it makes stuff freeze really, really fast. So last night I went ahead and just put them in the waters, in the chicken water and in the duck water, 55-gallon drum water, and they had those little nipples on the sides, right? Well, those instantly freeze when it's that cold out,
Oh, instantly.
And the only time they were really able to have water, which granted we've only had this cold snap for 2 or 3 days now, 2 days. So they weren't out of water for that long. So I went ahead and put it in there, and it has a cutoff switch at like 180 degrees, which is still really hot, but I just can unplug it when it gets nice and warm. But yeah, those worked amazingly well, because the 55-gallon drum, I had to like smash it, like the top of it, because it was like 2 or 3 inches of ice, and then like lower it down in there. And yeah, it did an amazing job. So
I'll tell you what else is amazing. I went in
highly recommend
the
that.
greenhouse
That?
yesterday. So yesterday it was 20 degrees out, and it was easily well above 40 in the greenhouse. And then today it was 30 degrees out. It was way above 60 in the greenhouse.
It's like trippy. You're like, okay, the sun's out, but like it can't be that warm in there. It's just a sheet. It's just a little bit of plastic. It feels like Florida. You're like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good addition. We're gonna be growing all of our salad greens in there. We have a shade cloth we'll be growing year round in there.
Yeah,
and I'll be able to move all of the trees in there.
One of the biggest projects of the year. I mean, it took us
a year.
It only took us about a month or so to put it up, just because of weather situations and things like that.
Life situations,
just life
and
in general.
You know, I have one arm, so I'm still trying to. He's
do a project manager, so
I can only PM things. I can't
so
produce.
Anyway.
So.
And then James built some amazing wooden doors. I'll have to post those on the community tab, but they have like a gasket in between them and everything like that.
Yeah.
And that greenhouse. I don't know if I would. It's high quality, but just they're gonna have to do like way better videos.
They're gonna have to do way better instructional videos,
because we watched at least like a dozen videos.
We watched all the videos. I watched all the videos.
Probably 20 or more videos, and we had to like decode it. And like they would say one thing, and then they would say another thing, and then you're like, oh wait, they said the first thing. That should be the last step, and we did it in reverse, and we're like, oh no.
Well, you kind of had to build it and then see
what they were talking about.
Right, you had to see what the issues were and then design your own ways around some of the issues, because it just wasn't in
And then they never showed you how to build the end walls.
Yeah.
They just showed you like them like at the end, like with the end walls already up. And
it's very... that part was very... That's what took so long, because we just kind of had to figure it out. Ourselves.
And then they don't tell you like, okay, go ahead and cut your plastic off and this stuff like that. So we're like, I guess we have to cut this.
Well, and it's largely in part too. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat and a lot of different ways to do it. And I guess they didn't want to, and they say all the time that they get people that innovate as they're putting them together. So, but I would appreciate a more like, you tell me exactly how to do it every step, and then if I want to innovate, I'll do that. But just don't skip any steps. And don't assume, this is weird. I don't know.
Yeah, the West Coast wasn't even going to be touched by the storm. That's what Ryan Hall was saying. He's like, if y'all want to be safe, you can go to the west side of the United States. And it just kind of swirled around it. It was like California was totally out of the way. It might have barely touched Nevada.
And as honestly, as hard as it hit us, it's relatively gone now. It'll be gone tomorrow. So. When it's longer than 3 days, it's bad news bears, man. Yeah, even if you're prepared, it's not good.
Next week, or this coming week, on Thursday, it's going to be 74 or something. Yeah. So I am so happy for the warm weather to be back. I made that video of it snowing, and people were like, why aren't you happy? Well, we were putting up the greenhouse, and you can feel the cold, like the coldness just the temperature just dropping like rapidly from like 30 to like below zero, and it's bad, y'all. It was bad. So southern people, that's why we live down here, y'all. And I know there's northern people and they love their cold, and that's awesome, and that's why you live up north, and that's why you like it nice and chilly and stuff like that, and you get to have your 6 months of cold. But not for me. I like it a little bit, but then trying to work in it and do stuff like that, it's a little bit of a pain. But I did love this. There was a duck. We were all at the pond. James spooked a Muscovy duck, I guess, or whatever, while he was feeding the ducks. and she flew up and she did her rounds around the property, and then she went to go land in the pond. Well, she didn't know it was all the way frozen over with probably only like a half an inch of ice or so. And she just goes to like splash in, and it doesn't splash. She just slides, and she's like spinning around and sliding.
That was funny.
She's like, what in the world? So sadly, I didn't have that on camera, but I just had her walking around on there. So
yeah. So hopefully y'all can come back and join us tonight at 7. We're gonna go get some work done. It's almost 40 degrees here. It might be over 40. So we're looking forward to actually getting outside and doing something.
do some stuff.
And
While it's a little bit warm.
we'll see y'all back here tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Up in Canada, they're not going to see 70 degrees until May.
Oh,
wow,
man, that's rough.
That is.
I'm not cool with that. It's just not for me.
Yeah, y'all got guts. Y'all got guts. I'm telling you what.
All right,
y'all. Thank y'all.